When and how did you first realize that you have unusual abilities?
Well, I didn't really know. I thought I was haunted nearly all my life, and spirit world was always around me, and they were pulling my bed or patting around my bed or making noises. I felt like I was haunted. I didn't know anything different. And then I was asked to go to a TV show, to apply for a TV show, and I'd never done readings before. And I applied for a TV show and I got in. And then I thought, oh, I can actually do this. And then I joined a class and I thought, I wonder if I'm able to do these things, as in give a reading, know things. When I was younger, I actually went to a college to learn not to read people because I thought I was judging people. I didn't know I was psychic. So I'm not saying it didn't come natural to me. It was always natural, but I didn't have anyone to help me along. So I thought actually there was something wrong with me.
When was the first realization when you got it, like, oh, I am psychic, I can be medium?
Yeah, well, maybe it wasn't even a medium. It was more like I'm good at this. Oh, I can find that. I can find this. It was really only about 7 years ago. Naturally, it just flowed. Because I love experimenting with things, I just kept on pushing the boundaries of things.
How do you think your life is different from the life of like normal people who don't have disabilities? Do you think there is a price to pay?
There is definitely a price to pay. You at times don't fit into certain groups. You virtually cannot tell people what you do for a living because when you do, they're completely different. I've sat with many people before at a party or at dinner and they never knew anything about me and we got along all night until they hear what I did and then they literally do not want to sit next to me. They were scared. They thought I could read their mind. Not that I really even had any interest in looking at what they were doing. They just saw me completely. The reaction of them is completely different. If I do a reading for someone and I see them in the shopping centre, they'll look down on the ground. Health-wise, your body constantly goes in fight and flight mode, so you're constantly changing your life to suit your work. So I often don't drink. I try to eat a really healthy food. I had a problem with my liver. Then I have a problem with weight. It comes with the territory. So my whole life really is dedicated to being the channel for the spirit world.
How would you describe the mediumship work that you do? Is it psychic mediumship, physical mediumship? Do you have any tips of how you enter your state and how it unfolds after? Do you need any preparation, rituals, special words or special place?
Okay.
Or just please describe in whatever way you can, what are your sensations, and any order or specific scenario of how the process unfolds. And if this is different for different types of mediumship work that you do, please specify that as well.
I consider myself a psychic medium, so psychically I can blend with another. And for me, I can see the past, present and future as if I'm looking at a book. So I suppose that's a bit of remote viewing. I love pushing the mind to find things, to prove things constantly. So I'm a psychic and a medium. I'm a developing physical medium, so I'm working with, say, the table, moving glass, bending spoons, and sitting for physical mediumship. Mental mediumship takes a lot of preparation. So it would be very light meals, not doing many readings beforehand. You get a little bit emotional, very, very sensitive even, and you have a real heightened sense, like a wolf, almost like a wolf. You can smell things clearer. You can hear things really clearly. All your senses are really heightened. Mental mediumship, you try and avoid any drama or you try and avoid any emotional experience, so you just stay neutral. When I'm working, I have this thing that after I've worked and say if someone had come up to me and they said, oh, you did a really good job, I have no emotion attached to it. It's almost like a fraction of Asperger's. Something happens inside me where I can't say it was good, but I can't say it was bad. There's no emotion. there's an expectation when you do readings and mental mediumship. So when I first started, I used to faint at public speaking. And so I used to cry in car parks and everything to stand in front of people and work with the spirit world. But I just kept on doing it enough to have faith that they would step in. How do I feel when I'm doing that? Really nervous, really tense. I drink lots and lots of water for some reason. I'm not quite sure why. Maybe nerves. I don't know. Really nervous, really tense. All of that. Even really like I might have diarrhea. I might feel like I'm going to vomit. All of that. And then when I stand up, it all goes. And it's I lift my consciousness up to what I call a sweet spot, which would be for a lot of people if they were thinking of a very happy memory. That's what it's like. And in that sweet spot is information that that person that I'm with needs. Or I can even search that. Why did that happen? How did that happen? It's almost like your whole life is available to look at. And given the right conditions, you can see almost anything or virtually blend with that person. So that's mediumship. Psychic, I've learned a technique. Psychic is the same with mediumship. No alcohol, no drugs, no good bed rest, no stress, all of that. And then if someone's sitting in front of me, it's the same. But this time what I do is I blend with them emotionally. I become them. And once it's like I've got not a hook on them, but it's like I've entered their reality, and then I can read them like I could even write a book about myself. Same thing. Rituals. I have no rituals, but when I very first started, I had to, play music and get everything ready and make sure I had, once upon a time, I think I even had a black stone that I put down my bra for evil spirits, and everyone said, you got to do this grounding and all of that. I believe in none of that. None. I believe in like attracts like. You just are a vessel for the spirit world, and you just have to be the best vessel you can be.
So when the very beginning of the process starts, what do you feel in your body or in your mind, or what may happen if it goes differently each time?
So if it's a mental mediumship, I have this. So for mental mediumship and I'm in a demonstration or something like that, and I think, oh, wow, the audience is really not, they're a bit flat or a bit critical. Then I have to say to the spirit, well, give me something that is just so unbelievable that they'll go, whoo, and they often do. Or if I drop my power, because mediums work in power, so we build up what we call an energetic, I say backpack. If you sit, you expand your aura, you expand it as far as you can go, you lift like a light beam up to the universe, and you sit in that process, and you allow the light beam to fill your aura and fills the backpack. So when you're working, you always have energetic power. It's just a technique a lot of mediums use in different forms. And then if I'm standing in a public demonstration and I know that it's hard, or I've lost my link, I take 2 steps back and then I take 2 steps forward, and it's like I'm walking back into it. I'm out of it, I step out of it, and then I'm walking back into it.
Do you have different sensations when you know that you have that link?
When you're not in as a psychic but as a mental medium, you know you're in the link because, or prior to that, you get really nervous, you get really anxious, and you get really heightened senses, and you get almost really a real sense of being it's almost scared but nervous, and anxiety starts. So the flow of the stomach starts. That way you know you're already preparing for, if mediums never got that, they would wonder why they never got that. They get that, then that builds, and you feel really agitated. You really can't sit still. Sitting's really difficult. Then all you need to do is stand up and then get the link.
So you come down when you get the link, you know it's there.
When you get the link, it's like you're talking about something that's really familiar, and you're really excited about something that happened in your day, and it just flows. There's no stopping and starting. You don't know where you got it from, but you know this is the truth in it.
So the other word would be like opening the flow, and it just flows. That's when you have the link established, right?
Yeah, it's already been prepared for whatever weeks beforehand. I always believe everyone's meant to be in the room at that time, meant to be getting that reading. For one way or another. And there's been many cases where some really strange things have happened. Even in a reading, we had an apport come from the ceiling in a 100 people demonstration, just come from nowhere. A little crystal just fell from nowhere. I think that the spirit world already know he's coming. I think what happens is maybe you'll notice that 4 people have drowned and they've all got loved ones that are drowned, and you'll do you're drowning, you're drowning, you're drowning, you're drowning. You just do the loved ones that are all connected to them. The more, it's not the more yeses, but the more you are right, the higher you get in energy, the higher you become, the more you get. It's like a continuous energy flow of all that exists. It's a oneness that everything exists.
From energetics point of view, you think the vibrations, they go higher or lower, and how do you feel after?
I don't think you could get any higher. I noticed that a lot of people, when they think they're working with the spirit world, they drop down to a trance state. The trance is very different. It's the opposite almost for me. You drop so that you are you're not connected at all. You drop and allow, you're the vessel for the spirit world to use, but it's more a meditative state, a state of oneness, but in a sense where you're not actively involved in it. You're no longer active in the information.
What do you say? You kind of stepped out.
You completely step out. So at the moment when I step out, I am a consciousness with no body. I can't imagine a chair next to me or a person sitting opposite me. I'm in nothing. But I'm conscious of it. So when people say they go into trance, they've stepped out of their body and somebody else comes in and talks, I don't have that. I kind of did have that at one stage. Yeah, I did have that one stage, but at the moment there's nothing.
Well, that's how it unfolds for you. And how do you feel after? Do you feel low in energy? Do you feel that you had lots of inflow or flow through you?
Yeah.
How do you feel?
During mental mediumship, you're on a high. So there's like it's like you've had too much Coke or too much sugar or something like that. You're on an absolute high of energy. But before that, you could have had a migraine, you could have had toothache. I actually worked with a cracked rib, didn't even know it during the time that I was working. You're just on a complete high. But when afterwards, it's a huge drop. So you'll see a lot of mediums will have sugar afterwards. They crave sugar, but we shouldn't have it. So the same as with the trance state, afterwards you could get really heavy head, really thick head. You could have all of that. But during mental mediumship, you're on a high, but you will crash afterwards. You'll be tired.
And after trance, it doesn't matter, or it depends on the person.
Yeah, at trance for me, or if I'm going into, say, physical, more so than trance, into a physical group, where, say, I'm doing the table tipping, we're sitting, we're trying to get phenomena, whatever, I am happy to do it, but I know I wouldn't have any readings that day. And I know that I would have a lighter day, because I probably would feel a bit flat and a bit tired.
And now, if you can name and describe maybe most interesting stories or cases that you have experienced from your practice, something that maybe even surprised you yourself in the process.
Well, I'm really good at predicting babies. Some mediums are good at certain things. I have a natural ability to want to look for things, find things. Because I had so many problems falling pregnant, I'm never wrong with pregnancies, and I predict babies very, very easy. I'm never wrong. So I used to walk through the shopping centre and I would say to people, would you mind if I could say to you that you're going to have a baby girl? So then I practiced it a bit further, and I used to write the names down or say the names to the people of the babies. I had one girl come, and there was a man in the spirit world. He came. And he described himself, and she said, yes, I know who that is. It's my uncle. But she had no intention that her uncle would come through. And then so I described a hotel and a car, but I didn't know where I was going with it, and some bush. And she said, "Oh, you don't know who I am, do you?" And I go, "No." And she said, "My uncle has gone missing at that hotel with that car in that scene in that bush." So I get a lot of those sort of things, and I really would love for them to say, "Would you help me find my uncle?" Because I would, but I need them to say that.
Oh, yeah.
I think the real interesting thing that I ever did was I never knew I was a psychic and a medium, and I was asked to apply for that TV show, and it was about a 10-page questionnaire almost. And one of the questions was, "I have a book. What page am I on and what's happening?" And I went, "Oh gosh, what book is it?" And I could see Moby Dick. And I went, "Oh, Moby Dick, what's happening?" And I could see what was happening, and I wrote it all down. And I was the only one out of all these professional mediums that got it right. And of course, my ego ran with it. I'm like, "Oh, I'm so excited." I thought, "Oh, isn't that wonderful? Wonder what else I could get." You know, we live in Western Australia, so psychically I can get things like, "I know you went to Bunbury, you were a nurse, you have 3 children, and you're looking at a job change, or you're having an affair," whatever. Or like a pilot, a guy comes from India, he flies over for twice a year for readings. And I didn't know he was a pilot. And then I said, "Oh, you're a pilot, blah, blah, blah." I said, "You're going to America, this is the airline." And I drew the logo of it. And he went, was a pilot. He did go to America. And this is the airline that he worked in. Those things I find really interesting. But for me, now knowing, they already exist. I'm just reading it out, your story.
Any unusual materializations of voices since?
All the time. So as a child, I slept on my parents' floor on their carpet. My bed would move, the blanket would be pulled off, knocking on the wall, running on the ceiling. Then I moved out. Then there was a knocking in this flat that we were in. We had to move out. Then I moved out again. I got a priest come to bless the flat because I thought it was haunted. My son's cot would rattle. The cars would roll on the ground. All my whole life I've seen spirit walking around. I thought I was just haunted. One would be near me, one would be laying next to me, and to the end where it got too much, and then I had to go see someone. But so now what will happen is you come for a reading, the air conditioner turns on and off, the TV turns on and off, the kettle clicks wherever I go now. I can move a table, I can knock on a table, I can drag a table, I can bend a spoon. What else can we do that's around? There's voices around constantly, and there's voices mid-air. In a reading, a lady spoke mid-air, whole paragraph. And the sitter and I just thought, "Oh my goodness, can you hear that?" And she was so clear, a whole paragraph mid-air. That's very rare. Daylight, no dark. So there's always something.
Wow. What do you believe in? God, higher power, creator, natural forces, elements, and does it play any role in your mediumship work?
God, I'm not so sure about, although my husband's Irish Catholic and all his family are my children Catholics. I love the thought of a religion or something to believe in, but I do believe that we have maybe a creator or a collective consciousness or more than what we could even understand. I do 100% believe that. Natural forces. It's really until I had this experience where I was with a medium that really helped me ignite it. And she said, "We're going to go out and blend with the tree." And I thought, "Oh God, here we go. What a waste of time." So I went out and I became the bush. I was one with the bush, and I saw all these elementals. I can never take it back because I had that experience. But just in the last 2 years, I've been really, really connected to the consciousness of trees, of plants, of the ground, of the water, like really, really connected to it. So I think we're missing something in the planet. I think we've forgotten that the planet is alive and that we are supposed to be all coexisting. And I'm hoping that comes back, but I don't really know if it will or not, but I'm hoping it does, because I think if we could connect with those things, we could be more one with everything.
Do you believe first in reincarnation, and how do we connect with the spirit world, say of the deceased, What if they're already alive somewhere else? Or how does that work? Is there part of our soul existing in the other realm and part of us exists in this realm? How does this work? How it's all organized? Because it feels like that, yeah, there is more than just us here, you know, we are more than this physical body. So what else is out there? How do we connect?
Okay, so first of all, just through my experiences, one of my experiences was a girlfriend of mine, her father came, and it was not that long ago, to be honest, and he said, heaven's not real. And I thought, wasn't that a weird thing to say? So it really got me thinking, and it's funny because even in the group that I'm in, I have this real understanding of things, but I really have no understanding. And I'm probably the most less educated of all of them, so maybe that's the reason why things flow so easily through me. But I think we are one aspect of a whole. I think that you belong to one group, say a soul group, you come down and you're one aspect of the whole. Do I think it's a past life? No. But could you say it's a past life? Yes, because there's another aspect having a life. But is that me, Karen? No. Karen lives and Karen dies and she goes back to, say, the soul group. Then within, say, heaven, as we can imagine heaven, there are many groups and they're all really ultimately all connected. That are all connected. So that's why we're all connected, collectively connected. But if I went into, should I be looking at another soul or another past life, I'm not so sure there's really any point in that. I think there is an understanding, like the Chinese king that killed everyone and they all got buried together so he could have help in heaven. I think the human idea of it is a great idea, but really it's not in essence the truth. Same as past lives. It's not in essence the truth. But we can process it any way we like. I believe heaven's just a place so we can understand we've had a human experience. That's my belief. And, you know, in 3 years' time I might know something and I might change that belief because I am flexible.
Yeah. When spirits materialize, or spirits of the deceased, do they do it this way because that's the way we know them and we can connect with them through like this particular way, this particular form that we already know, you know, or we knew a while ago in this lifetime?
Yeah, I think
or how does that work?
I think they're always around us. I think the need for them sometimes to be around us, we need to see it. So we set up a trigger. I can set it up in a reading. Your grandmother's going to connect via a yellow butterfly. Your father's going to come because he's going to give you a white feather. Or you're going to know because the light starts flashing. I send the intention out. Spirit world set up the intention and they know that then there's no loss. They're still around and heaven's still real. Because we as human beings have to know that this is not the end. We actually don't die. So we've created that reality. We created this reality and we created that reality. So the spirit world can manifest in many ways. They can just let us know that they're around by we saw them. Or by, I don't know what made me stop at that corner, but I'm glad I did because the truck was coming through. Or like my dad who died when I was in my 20s. I never see him, ever. I see a grandmother that comes through and I met her for 2 hours in my whole life. I don't know. Is it because my dad can't blend? Is it because there's no need? There's so many variables. It honestly is not black and white. There's so many variables. But the spirit world are always around us and we can use them.
What has been manifested as a deceased father or grandmother? Is it part of that soul group or is it...
No, it's the personality of that loved one. So if your grandmother comes through, it's your grandmother.
But where is she? She described this is heaven, this is not heaven, this is other world, this is spiritual world, this is...
So I questioned it because we speak to a person in the spirit world. He says, "Oh, I was just in the pub," and then I questioned her because There is no door at the pub. There's no beer at the pub. There's no people in the pub. There's no road to get there. What did you live in? No medium can say this. I say, where are they living? I don't know. What number's the house? I don't know. Do they get letters? I don't know. They don't know. We get no answers. And that's because that reality is not real reality. So we just make it to fit our reality, and then they have to say they're in that reality just until they evolve within that space that they're in. But really, look, did you sit at the bar and drink a beer? They can't really answer any of those things. They just say, they're with everyone, they're whole, this is your memories, know that I'm around, I might knock on the wall. Yes. Is it my dad say that came through? It will be my dad's personality. Does he live in a house? If he really wanted a house bad enough, he would live in a house. But he still couldn't say, does he sleep? Is there rain? And are you digging, or what did you cook for dinner? The people in the spirit world don't answer that question. None of those questions. So we really have to be asking those questions, because that's where the answers are. And I'm a medium saying that.
And the very last and easy question to you, for those who would like to awaken their psychic abilities, who would like to develop in mediumship work, where do you start? What do you believe in? What you should be ready for?
I think you just make a date with the spirit world. You sit every day, and then you say to the spirit world, you set the intention, I really would like to develop in whatever way you're wanting to. So say you were doing psychic readings, and maybe you didn't have a natural ability, or you do have a natural ability. I'm going to allocate an hour a day sitting for the spirit world. I'm going to look for a really good teacher that can teach techniques, or I'm going to pick up some tarot cards and start like that, or I'm just going to find a modality that the spirit world would be able to connect with us. Do I think you can be a medium? Probably not. Do I think everyone has the ability to be a psychic? Yes. Okay. You can really build on that. And sometimes it just takes psychic developments like this. The more you do it, the more you build the process like a big paving path. You just put one brick at a time. The more you do it, the more of the path you get. The more you do it, the more of the path you get. And then before you know it, you've got an easy flow. But you set the intention, and then you work towards that. And the spirit world will help you as much as they can. But I'm a big person in believing in your faculty within. If it's not within your faculty, like me, I don't think I could be a really good artist, and I struggle learning a musical instrument. So I could sit there for a long time and dedicate myself and find a good teacher and everything. Would I be really good at it? Probably not. Could I do it in the end? Yes, but it's not my faculty within. Same with mediumship and psychic. Same thing.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
It was a pleasure.
You're very welcome.